Welcome to another presentation of the Globe Sound Healing Conference. Now we have Carson Spencer. Hi, Carson.
Hi, David. Great to see you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Carson is a spiritual mentor, inspirational speaker, teacher, and energy worker. He is the pastor and spiritual leader of Unity of Richmond East Bay, the creator of Carson Energy Alignment and the Miracle in Three Breaths. And his intention is to live from the heart, holding a space of love and acceptance that encourages connection, conscious awakening, and authentic creative self-expression. For 7 years, he was the spiritual leader of Unity of Ukiah. Carson is also an artist, actor, performer, playwright, and director. Through my own healing journey of self-doubt and self-discovery, a process of learning to be fully present in my own body, I have embraced my path as an artist, energy worker, spiritual teacher, and visionary. I practice living from the heart and creating a space of self-love and acceptance where we can experience the connectedness, unity and oneness with spirit, humanity, and all of life. I use my gifts to create a healing atmosphere that allows us to awaken to your authentic self and claim your natural state of vibrant health, prosperity, and self-expression. That would be you. What have you been up to lately?
I'm back at on Sundays. I'm back at a Unity church as a spiritual leader. I know I was up in for 7 years up in the wine country up in Ukiah, and then about a year and a half ago, I got hired at Unity of Richmond East Bay, which is a lovely little community. So I've been doing that. I also found a couple of plays that I'd written years ago during the pandemic. So I've been stepping back into my creative work as well, doing a couple of performances at some theaters here in San Francisco, and actually working with a couple of other actors and directors to put together this what I'm calling a fantasy memoir play that's loosely based on my life, and so that's the other thing I've been focusing on as well. And then we also, in the spring, me and my partner did a cruise of the Mediterranean, and we're able to visit like 7 different countries in 14 days. So that was kind of a crazy trip, but really fun.
Uh, cool. Okay, well, here's the big question. If you had all the money in the world, what would you do to help people on the planet?
Oh, you just gave me a little time before we turn on the record to let me know you were going to ask me this question.
Mhm.
So I have to say this is a kind of a spontaneous answer, but the first thing that came up for me was kind of may sound like a selfish answer at first, but I would really use it to produce this play, first of all, and then put together what I've always wanted to do is a spiritual creative collective where we're working with certainly, because those have been the two big really journeys of my life, my creative life, which led to my spiritual life because I had an injury when I was right at my first Saturn return around 28 years old. That stopped me from moving forward in my creative work. 'Cause I'd moved to New York and I was we had booked a number of commercials. I had some agents. I was moving forward, and then I had this injury in my foot that didn't heal. And after going to a number of doctors who just kept taking me down the medical uh, nightmare, which is what it felt like. Um, I was reading Shirley MacLaine's book, which was the one about her doing past life regression in New Mexico, and I just got my intuitive hit was forget about medical doctors. Whatever is going on here has a past life connection. And so I went to the Light Institute and worked with Chris Griscom, and that really opened me up to the healing work that I continue to do today. I not only healed my foot and my injury, but I connected with my higher power. It led me back into yoga and my meditation. So that was, I don't know if I'm answering your question or not, but
So,
that
so
was.
you would a spiritual collective. What would that be?
Well, the spiritual collective would be just a group of people who are getting together. My feeling always is I've worked with many, many people over the years. We heal our stuff through our spiritual work so that we can step into our creativity because I believe that's what we're here to is be creative. And for a lot of us, the creativity is just creating your life and realize that you really are the author or the authority of your own life. But certainly in the past, working with actors. I worked with a lot of children's groups during my journey. I was connected with Siddha Yoga, and I used to work with their children's program, and we would put together little plays that had to do with the stories of some of the ancient avatars of India. And so the collective would be where we're focused on healing and creativity, working on certainly family dynamics, because a lot of the healing I've done with my clients is we work with family situation, and I've gotten clients to play roles of the different, very often family members that they've had real struggle with, and to be able to play a role where you actually play the part of the parent that you feel had always abused you, and you play the opposite parts, so you begin to open up to compassion and get some deeper understanding as to what's going on. And I certainly found that as I studied acting, that was what very much what fascinated me, was getting inside a character and recognizing that our creativity gives us the ability to really move into other areas, and certainly theater and acting and that creative expression is a wonderful process of healing, and it also is a way to heal others. To me, my first, after going to Catholic school for the first couple of years and really being turned off by religion, I mean, in third grade, I decided that I was an atheist because all the stuff I'd gotten from the Catholic school just was too much for me. But then what became my theater, or my connection, was theater, was being in a theater, seeing performance. That's what really spoke to me on a spiritual level. So it would be really combining those two things.
It's interesting because, a lot of people have been asking this question for many years now in a conference, and a lot of it is like, feed people, clean up the planet, make sure nobody's struggling. But, after we do all that, then people still have their stuff. So this is like the perfect next step. It's like, okay, how are we going to heal our past? How are we going to heal ourselves and create more harmonic relationships?
Well, and I think certainly one of the hugest industries in the world is entertainment, and that's what I found from the plays that I've written, from the stuff that I've done in the past. It always has a spiritual through line. But there's a lot of people who aren't involved in, what we're doing here. And sound healing and all that stuff is too woo-woo for them. But when you can reach them through a human story that at the core of it has that spirituality, then you're not preaching to them, but it's a way of awakening and connecting with a greater group of people, and really sharing a lot of these truths that we in the spiritual community have focused on all our lives.
Cool. I've put together a whole play called Compassion, which is IMAX 3D with acrobats interacting with the IMAX 3D, speakers vibrating in every seat, and
Wow.
it's like a Cirque du Soleil spectacular.
Well,
So,
I think you might have shown me some of that.
uh-huh,
I
uh-huh,
have a memory of me, being at one of your healing
uh,
spaces and seeing something like that. Yeah,
cool.
absolutely.
So tell me, you said you studied at a certain place and that it opened you up spiritually. What'd they do? How did it happen? Because that's like always the most interesting thing, because there's a lot of people that haven't really expanded.
Hmm.
And I think there's many things that help people expand. Peace is one. Accidents is another. Drugs.
Injuries. My injury in my
Uh-huh.
foot was a
Uh-huh.
big inspiration for me to
Drugs
find some
could do
healing.
it, right?
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's being with somebody that's already expanded can do it. And sometimes spirit just goes, here's your time. Bing.
Well, I think that's a big part of what happened for me. It was the early '80s. I'd moved to New York to be a star, and that began moving forward. And then I had this thing with my foot, which took me in a different direction. I never gave up on I continued to work with my creativity, but what really fascinated me was that work at the Light Institute. When I went to New Mexico, worked with Chris Griscom for 4 days. It's intensive past life regression. She actually calls it multi-dimensional work, because it's not always a past life that comes through. Sometimes you go into other, you recall or able to move into other dimensions. Um, but it was very powerful because it's not someone telling you, oh, you had this life or you did this. They actually take you into what I would call a light hypnotic state, and they draw you back. They call in your higher self and say, now ask your higher self to show you a lifetime or an experience that will be resonant with your own journey in this lifetime. So it really is whatever's going to be consistent with what's going on here. And I think one of the most potent ones about 7 or 8 lifetimes came through during those 4 days. But some of the most potent ones were connections in the past when I'd had a very strong spiritual connection. I'm thinking first of all the Native American woman she was like the shaman of the tribe, and tuning into her energy and being able to feel how she was able to tune into the vibration of Mother Earth, and it was really about vibration, and say, we need to travel for 2 days in that direction and we will find food. So she was able to tune into where the herds were that they needed to connect with to get food and many other things. And the connection with higher power who was able to show you these things, that was what I came back with after the 4 days, was really a palpable connection to this inner guidance. And I think the thing that I continue to share with my clients, and certainly at Unity when I speak on Sundays, is that energy, that guidance is much closer than we believe it is. We think we've got to do the right, process, or connect with, the right avatar, or do all the right prayers to be able to tune into that inner guidance. But the truth is, it really speaks to us through our intuition and through our imagination, but it's learning to trust it. And so much of certainly what led me towards the sound healing that I do and the work with my voice is the recognition that vibration and that pure pitch, whether it comes from a voice or from a crystal bowl or whatever, that pure tone brings you out of your intellect, which can be all over the place, past, future, making up things. It brings you into the moment and connects you with your chakra system. And that's why people really enjoy music. That's why people, when you do a tone, you can feel, everyone kind of stopping and moving into that space, because it really has a very powerful ability to harmonize the energies in the body.
Cool. I used to have panic attacks years ago. And when I finally started doing chakra treatments on myself, I found I could get rid of the panic attacks every single time. And all the fear went away, because panic attacks are really scary. And all my Xanax went away in my pocket, right? And it completely changed my life. And now I do a chakra treatment almost every morning before I get out of bed.
Yeah.
Sometimes I got a kitty on top of me too, right? And often I do use crystals. I'll
Yeah.
tell you more about it after you do your thing. So you want to go ahead and do it, or you want to set it up, tell us some more about it before you do it?
Well, yeah. Well, what we're going to do now is what I often will do with my individual clients is I use the liquid crystal oracle, which is channeled information. And when it came to me, I kind of poo-pooed it because I'd done a lot of tarot cards and stuff in the past and liked them and found that it was a helpful tool. But I kind of felt that I'd moved beyond that. But then my friend brought over this deck, and we did a reading, and it was so right on and so consistent with exactly what was going on. And then when I started doing the toning with the crystal cards, it just something seemed to come together in a very harmonic and connected way. So I continue to use them. What we're going to do is we're going to draw a crystal for each of the chakras, a crystal card, and then we're going to do a sound bath to bring in the energy of the crystals and help it balance everyone's chakras.
So
And
we
so,
doing this for everyone or for me?
well, that's what I thought. I thought we would use you
Oh, yeah,
as
okay.
the conduit.
Okay, cool, cool.
How does that
Okay,
sound?
excellent, excellent. Okay,
Perfect.
cool.
All right, so I'm going to start. I've already shuffled the cards, but I'm going to do it one more time. And then I'm going to do my incantation. So I want everyone who's listening now, and David, you as well, just to close your eyes and let these words wash over you. We acknowledge that one power, that one presence, the source of all, you and I, the cards, the crystals, all past, all present, all future. Anything we can see, hear, feel, think, know, do, be, are, or imagine are all divine expressions of Source. We experience our personal and intimate relationship with and as Source through the body, gravity, and Mother Earth, and through the breath. This invisible substance that everywhere surrounds us, connecting us with all life on the planet, it activates and enlivens our body garden, allowing us to be awake, aware, and present within it. We draw the divine breath into the heart chakra, connecting with the heart of Mother Earth, and as we exhale, we send it into the cards, activating them as a direct link to the crystals themselves, knowing that we will not only receive some powerful and pertinent information and guidance today, we are receiving a direct download of harmonizing, balancing, and integrative energy from the crystals, which activate the rainbow body, bringing our chakra system into harmony with our personal evolutionary path, as well as the evolutionary thrust of the planet itself and the cosmos at large. Knowing that we are supported by all energies throughout all dimensions, all realities, and all universes, and that we are receiving exactly what is needed today for our highest good and for our most joyful, spontaneous, creative expression, we say thank you. Amen. Ashe. Shalom. Om. Shanti. So, David, how many times would you like me to cut the deck?
4.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So the card that comes up on the top of the deck is your heart card after we've cut the deck. And your heart card today, interesting, is Sunstone. Sunstone's simple purpose is raw light radiance. So this would make sense since you're acting as the conduit for the whole group today, to have sun and that solar energy right there in the heart really affirms that what the heart energy is doing today and really what the purpose of this whole harmonization is to really activate the connection between the heart and solar plexus, because we know that certainly sunstone has a potent connection with the solar plexus, and the solar plexus has the ability to transmute those heavy negative energies. Because when you brought up about panic attacks, I also had those, and they started right after my parents divorced and the whole family fell apart, and I used to have these panic attacks as well. And certainly it was even though I didn't recognize it as spiritual or meditation, I learned early on just from my intuition, I needed to stop and breathe into my connection with gravity. And that's really what sort of grounded me. But when we get sunstone in the heart chakra, particularly for someone who just mentioned that they used to have panic attacks, that's what the solar plexus has a powerful ability to do. In one sense, I think it's its job at one point in our journey through our life experience, which is to transmute the unintegrated angers, fears, and griefs, which we could call the old karmic substance that's down in the lower chakras, a lot of it given to us by our ancestors through our DNA. Because if you look at our human history, we've had a lot of craziness, right? A lot of raping, a lot of pillaging, a lot of, misunderstanding about who we are and why we came here. And so those unintegrated angers, fears, and griefs, they build up based on misunderstanding about what's going on here. And when we can feel rather than jump up into the head and try to fix based on an uncomfortable emotion down here, we have the ability to feel it up into our solar plexus, and the heat or the vibration in the solar plexus will allow it ultimately to move into compassion, which is you also mentioned that was the name of your creative process that you did. It was compassion. And that made sense for me with knowing you and knowing your intention to bring so much healing to the planet through your work. I feel that compassion is our core emotion. It's our heart vibration. So that's what we're going to do here. I want everyone to place their hand on their heart, one hand on their heart, one hand on their solar plexus, and we're just going to activate this heart card with the ability to transmute and transform and integrate unintegrated angers, fears, and griefs and old karmic patterns into compassion in the heart for ourselves, for others, and for the world. Here we go. So with the tones, for me, I always find it very valuable to allow the tone and the vibration to kind of wash over you, wash through you, and then as the vibration ends, be willing to be in that place of silence or stillness. So I want to do the heart card one more time, and then allow yourself to sit in the silence and feel that silent vibration connecting with your own breath and the breath's ability to really move through the inner body and move through the chakra system all the way down to the root and all the way back up through the crown with each inhale and exhale. So as we move through these cards, I'm going to place the sunstone over here in the heart space. As we move through these tones, really allow yourself to feel that space that is connected. After the tone or the vibration disappears audibly, it literally does create a space of healing, of openness, of just that peaceful, what I call that sweet, sublime satisfaction of not needing to be anywhere or go anywhere, just being present. Next, we're going to look at the crowning card. So we're moving right up to the top chakra. Beautiful, David. You're in a good place because when celestite, the crystal of knowing, comes up in your crown chakra, it really suggests that, let me get this so you can see it. There we go. It really suggests that you have a nice, strong connection with your higher energies and that the crown chakra is tuning into your higher knowing or your most spiritual intuition. So I'm going to place this up at the top of the spread and then allow this. I'm going to start at a higher tone and then move down. And I want you to visualize kind of a circular tornado energy that's taking the big energy from all the vast knowledge of the universe above and bringing it down through that crown chakra and having it land in that heart space of compassion. And don't be surprised if you begin to hear a little bit of that, what I call the sacred sound, which, I have a feeling a lot of people who've been diagnosed with tinnitus are actually opening up to that vibration of the universe and they don't know what it is, so it freaks them out. So if anyone is suffering from tinnitus, I invite you to just play with making a more harmonious relationship to that ringing in your ears and see if things don't shift around that. I never discourage anyone from going to see a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. But I do know that so many of the things that we call diseases and something going wrong with the body, it's literally growing pains. It's the body acting or coming into relationship with more of the spiritual movement. And so whenever I feel physical pains, rather than going, oh my God, what's wrong? I say, oh, thank you, body, for bringing your attention into what's happening. I breathe some healing energy into it, and then I turn it over to higher power. And I can't tell you how it has really helped me not have to spend a lot of money on drugs, particularly, Tylenols and all those things, because I rarely get a headache that lasts more than 5 minutes because it melts away once you bring your own healing energy to it. We're going to move into the third eye now, which is pearl, purity. Beautiful for you, David, and for the whole group, because when we've got knowing, that beautiful blue card in blue crystal in the crown chakra, saying you've got a real harmonious connection with your higher energies, we want that third eye, which is connected to our intellect, and very often where we spend a lot of time worrying or focusing on old false beliefs and stories about ourselves and the world. When we have a card of like purity in the third eye, it says you've cleared out a lot of that old shit and you're able to just really be in that place of listening to the higher energy, doing what's yours to do, and not up in the head with so much of that chitta vritti, as they call it in yoga, the constant chatter of the mind. So let this tone really feel as though it's just clearing your whole mind and opening you to higher guidance and to the experience of peace and balance in the moment. Because pretty much for most of us, there's nothing to worry about in the moment, but the ego mind will search for things to worry about. So this crystal, particularly the pearl, really helps you be able to be in that place of sweet, sublime satisfaction where everything's okay, you're not worried about the future, the past is taking care of itself, and you can just be in that peaceful place. So here we go. Well, I'm going to credit you, David, because that, for me, and I always, my toning is very intuitive. I'm kind of tuning into what I'm feeling from the card. I'm tuning into what I'm feeling from you, David, and certainly the fact that this is a portal that's opening up to a lot of connections as it moves forward. But what I felt there was such an open, pure, clear space in a way that kind of felt even more expanded than I've ever felt before, right in that third eye area. So I think I would certainly relate it to the fact that you've been focusing on vibration and the power of music and sound for so much of your life. And you've just created that open space that will allow. So I'm kind of vibrating in a wonderful way. So thank you for that. Throat chakra. I think the throat chakra is one of the most potent and important chakras on the planet at this point because, number one, it's our ability to speak our truth, but more important than that, it's our ability to tune into our inner truth by allowing the prana, the breath, to clear the mind, open through the throat into the heart chakra and these lower chakras, which bring us into the present moment. The throat chakra is the only chakra that has the ability to make something solid, like vibration. And my higher energies have been very clear that vibration is solid. It's a physical thing that we can hear. It really is the conduit between the totally spiritual and the completely solid physical. And we can play with it with our throat. So just as you shared, that you do your toning, you do your chakra balancing in the morning. Practice, everyone. It doesn't have to be a pretty sound. You don't have to sound like an opera singer. It can just be a simple hum that you allow to kind of show you or introduce you to the vibrating, whirling chakras in the body. And use your imagination to just imagine, oh, this is what let the imagination help you begin to interpret the vibration and the chakras in your body. So our throat chakra today is interesting. Garnet, one of my favorites. This is the sister crystal to ruby, which is spiritual warrior, And ruby is one of the four, as I call them, the major arcana of the crystals: ruby, diamond, sapphire, and emerald. Ruby is the spiritual warrior. You can see from the color of the crystals, it's very physical. It's got that blood red, it's got that black womb color, so it pulls you into the body, as does the voice and the ability for that throat chakra to make sound, to make vibration, and actually get your body vibrating with the energies of the physical universe. So here we go with the throat chakra. I'm going to do some real moving up and down because I want to activate the, and the simple purpose of garnet is manifestation of purpose. So it really helps us get clear about who we are and why we're here. And what I like to focus on, particularly with the word purpose, because that can make people crazy. Oh, what's my purpose? Our spiritual connection with the word purpose is the ability to live on purpose. In other words, to be here now, feeling clear about who we are, divine expressions of that source, of that creative oneness, and to have the experience. It's not about doing it right or figuring things out. It's about having the experience, showing up and finding out who we are by being willing to just simply live and move through each day. Here we go. This is going to last a bit. We're going to move down to the root now, and I want you to just notice with this, if I can get it to show up there, there we go. With this garnet, the colors, how the red, there we go. The red and then the black really harmonize in a nice way and really pull you down into the lower aspect of this lower part here. I don't know how, let me see if I can do this so you can see. Here we go. Bingo. And then all right, forget it. That's fine. So we're just going to move on. There we go. The darkness, especially this ring there, as I focus on that, it really is energy that's pulling everything down. So I want to do one more tone as we just focus on the card because it's bringing us down into the root chakra. And I want everyone to hum along with me with this tone because I really want the manifestation of purpose to help really activate your own chakras through your own humming. And what we're doing with this hum together is introducing the throat chakra to the other chakras and really creating a harmony between them. So when you hum or tone on your own in the future, you will already have this connection with the crystal grid of the planet and all the crystals we're drawing here today. So here we go. Hum along with me, no matter what pitch, it doesn't matter. And We're going to go now. The next crystals come from the bottom of the deck because these are our lower chakras. And our root chakra, interesting, is apatite, which is the crystal of foresight. And what I like to focus on, especially when this comes up in the root chakra, which has been happening a lot lately when I work with different clients, it's affirming that our creative energy is really blossoming at this point. Blossoming particularly with our ability to speak our truth and use our voice to help move us forward. Number one, to help balance the chakras, but number two, really to activate the spiritual energy, because blue is the color of our throat chakra. And creativity is these lines that are going on either side. And what I see with those two lines of orange, yellow, moving into even more of a white color, is they're creating the path of creativity. They're opening up a spiritual path for us to move forward and express ourselves, because it's huge, very, very blue card, and then it has those lines of creativity on either side. So we're going to start low and move up, and I want you just to imagine that creativity flowing on either side of you. You think of it as the yin-yang or the male-female. It's bringing in balanced expression of creativity. And here we go. And I'm going to move right to the sacral center. So much creativity flowing here. So for our sacral center, we've got tiger's eye, which is personal power in action. And look at the color of the tiger's eye. It's total creative energy. It's life force, which is what the sacral center is. It's where we feel our sexuality. It's where we feel inspiration and passion. It is also where some of the deep trauma can get held. Deep wounds, deep griefs, deep fears and angers can get held there. And so that's why when we see the black lines going through there, those black lines are an indication that those deep wounds, those deep healings that we carry, particularly in the real uncomfortable energies that come up when we get triggered, they are actually the fuel that helps to complete us. What we've been taught to do is to push those uncomfortable emotions away, because very often those were the emotions that when they wanted to come out at an early age, because if we're left unencumbered in our early years, we will clear all our karma by the age of 7. The challenge is we come into families who have got their own karmic stuff, and that's the same stuff that's in our DNA. So as we try to throw it back into the system, our caregivers say, sorry, that's not acceptable here, because our angers and fears and stuff triggers them. So we make the decision that this part of me is not acceptable. This anger that I'm feeling, or this sadness, or this frustration is not okay. And so we separate from certain parts of ourselves. That's why it's so important to own our own feelings, particularly when we get triggered. We want to blame the messenger, the person, the place, the thing that has triggered us. And so we throw it back out into the world, and then it comes back to us again and again. So that's why we call it karma. It keeps coming back. So when we can make the space to feel those uncomfortable energies, it's personal power in action. We're reclaiming our power. And you will find that rather than being up in your head trying to fix or figure out what to do about that situation that's triggered you, if you feel the feelings and let it go, spontaneous action takes over, and you will find yourself doing what needs to be done around that situation. But what I've found is very often the situation takes care of itself, because I no longer need to call that discomfort into my life, because I've made space to feel it, and thus allow it to move through the solar plexus up into the heart, bringing in compassion towards myself. that it's okay to feel depressed and heavy some days. It's okay to, whatever you're feeling, the more you can make space for your feeling and own them as yours, trusting that, just like that old saying that says, emotions are energy in motion. If we're not letting it trigger some story that something's wrong and that shouldn't be happening, and we go into our fixing mode, and then pushing it back down, if we allow it to move through, just as David said when he does his chakra clearings in the morning, he can feel everything being cleared out to begin with. So it's trusting that. And our uh, tiger's eye activated in the in the sacral center right now is perhaps the most potent crystal to help that to happen. So here we go. All right, so our well, actually, we're going to do three more, but the next one is this is such a beautiful spread. So here we are right there in the solar plexus. And this would indicate to me, David, that you've cleared out a lot of your old heavy stuff, because what it's saying is your solar plexus is already the conduit of the pink tourmaline, which is gift of love. So it really is saying that that's who you are, and that's truthfully who we all are. We all come to share our unique expression of that divine love energy. And so just tuning into that pink tourmaline, gift of love. This is a very harmonious crystal also with rose quartz, which is the crystal of forgiveness. So let's let the pink tourmaline, as it activates the solar plexus, also connect up into the heart chakra, and the rose quartz, the energy of forgiveness, particularly since we have foresight down in the root chakra. Foresight connects with forgiveness because it's all about moving forward with clarity in your sight or in your vision, and clarity of letting go of the blame, either the self-blame and self-guilt and shame, or the blame of others and the misunderstanding that something has worked against you. Because in our true spiritual beliefs of the oneness and the pure energy, that nothing can really ever go wrong. It's all about the journey and the experience. So one of the most powerful and potent affirmations that I continue to use and share with clients, particularly when we do get triggered, that old story that something's wrong, life is working against me, to simply ask yourself, what if nothing's wrong? What if this is just what's happening? It takes you out of the fight, flight, and the early uh, first Saturn cycle programming of that being the karmic fixer, and allows you to move into the adventurer, just to be in the experience. And that opens you to your higher guidance. So let this tone wash over you as we activate the solar plexus as the gift of love, connecting it with the forgiveness of the rose quartz in the heart, and really clearing the whole channel so that all the chakras are working in harmony and balance. So we're going to draw two more cards, and I hope everyone felt as we went into the silence about how potent activating that solar plexus as our last main chakra card And it's recognizing that the vibration or the really strong vibrato that came in during that tone gave it the yawn is good. Whenever I work with clients and they'll yawn while I'm talking to them and they get like embarrassed, it's like, no, no, when we yawn, it's the body taking in this intellectual information and saying, I need to bring this into my chakra system. This needs to be an experience rather than just an idea up here. And that vibrato that came in as we did that tone, that was the first time it really came in really strongly as I've been toning today. That's an indication that the chakras are now communicating. That vibration says it's all bouncing and moving up and down. So the last two cards I want to look at are your soul star chakra, which is all the energies above your head that really serve you and help to bring it all into balance. And it's the crystal of simplification, which is aquamarine, which is one of my favorite crystals. And in truth, that's really what our higher energies are really trying to share with us now, that life is simple if we're willing to be in the moment, let go of the false programming that happens in the first cycle, that we're problem solvers and that we have to get things right, and that somehow this life experience is about proving ourselves. It's not. It's about enjoying the experience and being creative, just like we talked about at the beginning. Open up to what's your creativity. And you don't have to be a big artist or write a symphony. Your most creative work of art is your life itself. So be willing to really look at how can you make your life most enjoyable, most creative, whatever it is. Just, take it one day at a time. So before I do my final tone, which is going to be a activation of the purple flame in the heart, I want to look at the Earth Star chakra, which is Peridot, which is the bringer of joy, I think. Is that what it is? Yes, the bringer of joy. So the spread is really so beautiful today, and I have to thank David for being the conduit of this. But it certainly makes sense with knowing you and knowing, that you're so much of the work that you do does bring joy to people. It takes us to those magical, joyful, really deep spiritual places, but also ground us very powerfully in the body, allowing us to be here now. So I've got the whole spread laid out here, which really works for all of us to connect us with that crystal grid of the planet. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to open up the portals that exist at the joints of the body, the ankles, knees, and hips, the wrists, elbows, and shoulders, and the 13th portal that we're opening up to bring in this violet flame of Saint Germain and Kuan Yin is the entire spinal cord, which opens up between the shoulder blades. And what I want you to visualize as I do this tone, particularly the final tone that holds that it holds a sustained note or pitch. Visualize a white rosebud slowly opening up and revealing a gentle purple flame in the middle. This is something that you can meditate on anytime once we activate it. Just visualizing that purple flame in your heart, humming into it can also be helpful. So as I hit that sustained pitch as well, feel free to hum along with me as you visualize that white rose opening up. Visualize that purple or violet flame. Here we go. Now hum with me.
Do it one more time.
Beautiful. Thank you, David. That was magic on this end.
Yes.
So we're done. That's the activation.
Cool. Well, I have to tell you, there's the first one was kind of the most profound because I remember I was in Mount Shasta a couple of years ago where the fairies are flying around everywhere, right?
Mm.
And the main lesson I got that trip was to be able to transform the solar plexus up to the heart. And I actually saw almost this little pathway from bringing solar plexus up to the heart. Right? And then afterwards, I found it really hard to do that because when you get into the emotional body and the fire and the solar plexus, it's like, I can't believe they did that. It's really tricky to be able to raise it up to the heart when you're in it. And so that was really cool. But you then it was interesting when we got to the solar plexus with the pink tourmaline. Then I thought, another path instead of trying to move it up is to actually just bring love to it, which is kind of what we did with the pink tourmaline in the solar plexus, right? Just
Yeah.
just just send love and resonate love in the solar plexus.
Well, and that's what I find amazing about the liquid crystal oracle, because just as you suggested, it often will just trigger something in my mind or whatever that says, oh, no, we can go a different way, or oh no, these two chakras are now communicating now. Let me see what's happening. Because when we're trying to make it happen with our intellect, very often we're working in opposition to what's going on in here. So that's why it's so helpful to activate the throat chakra in relationship to the lower chakras. If you think about it, that's what happens with each breath. The breath moves through, particularly if you're breathing through the nostrils, clears the mind, activates the listening throat, and moves fully into these lower chakras. And that's why, people, meditation techniques for ages have always been focusing on the breath because it brings you into the body.
I also have to say it took me a long time before I could ever really connect with my third eye and crown. And when I ask people in workshops or open houses, I always ask people, how many of you can open up your crown at will? It's less than a quarter. I mean, most people don't even have, I mean, some a little higher, maybe a third have had the experience of crown and oneness and unity consciousness. But, even that's only a third. And so it's really interesting. So I keep thinking, okay, what's the best way to connect? And one is, I mean, with the third eye, I've got the impression that most people are using their third eye a lot. Alice Bailey even talks about it because it's really, to actually focus. It's your focus, right? To be able to
Yes.
actually just, run your life.
Yeah.
It's really, so it is really activated. So it's not very hard to actually, and I actually have almost a little third eye headache a lot because I know. Oh, I have to tell you. So this is really funny. So a few years ago, this psychic said to me, um, "Here are the Hathors," and I'm like, "I know them. The Tom Kenyon works with them," and they said that. They want to create a super highway between your pituitary and pineal gland, which is third eye and crown, to be able to connect to higher beings. And I'm like, okay. And so they've been working for like 4 years, and it's really opened up my intuition drastically.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So I think, the main thing is, I mean, there's two ways I think of, and see what you think as well, to be able to open the third eye and crown. First of all, is fake it till you make it, right? Just visualize it.
Yeah.
Visualize energy coming in, visualize light, visualize energy coming from source into the crown, and keep visualizing it until it happens, right? And the other is to just ask, hey, higher self, source, higher beings, can you help me open this up? And sometimes they go, okay, we've been waiting for you to ask.
Well, and the other thing I find is trusting your imagination. Very often, I'll say to myself or a client, imagine what it would feel like to connect with your higher energies. Just take a moment, take 2 or 3 breaths, just imagine what that would feel like. And then to begin to trust it because your imagination is that pathway into all those higher energies. The other thing that is just for me so potent is nature, particularly trees, particularly the big redwoods or the big trees. Just go and talk to them. They're talking to us all the time through the breath. Don't forget, what we exhale, our carbon dioxide, is what the trees take back in. So there's this constant communication going on between us and the trees. We just came back from, we spent a couple of days up at Lassen National Volcanic Park. Have you ever been there?
No,
Oh,
no.
it's amazing. So we went up there and we were with the tall trees and so many trees, and also 69% of the forest burned at the 2022 fire. So we really got to see how nature is already coming back. I mean, all these burned out trees, but within a lot of them, although they look totally dead on the outside, you can see new sprouts coming in. So but to tune into those trees, meditate with the trees, hug the trees, tuning in from the heart chakra to the trees is the most potent thing I find. Just imagining you're that tree as you're sitting there with it, feel its energy, and let it speak to you, particularly the fact that those trees, whatever we're seeing on the outside that's coming up into the air, there's equal stuff going down into Mother Earth. So the trees have a powerful ability to ground you into Mother Earth. And that connection will automatically, because it's a balance, it's the yin yang. As we go deeper into the earth, we also reach up higher into the higher energies, and the crown chakra and the higher energies come in. So it's connecting with the trees and just their physical ability to be deep into Mother Earth and to lift up. Because when I tune into my angels, they're very clear about the harmonious, equal relationship that we have with them. Because we have a tendency to think, oh, those higher energies are up there and we're down here, these smaller things. No, those angels honor those of us who have been willing to come in here and be physical and hold that grounding energy. So they want to be with us. And once we recognize that, for me, something in my heart opens and it's like, oh yeah, come on in. Because they're already with us all the time, but we just haven't activated the part in the brain to be able to recognize that.
S- Beautiful. So it's interesting. I would say that your throat chakra is the ideal throat chakra ever, right? And so, but it's not just your throat. You're actually running energy from other chakras and heart energy and crown and every. So because of course in the sound healing conferences this is something we deal with all the time. I mean, people being afraid to make sound, right? It's like, and it's rampant, even though as babies we had it down. It's like around 1 or 2 it's like shh, and then you get in school and it's no more sound. You go to
Yeah.
work and it's like, what are you doing? Right? And we lose that God-given ability, and to be able to express yourself, and then not after you get over being afraid, to be able to actually channel and really let it flow through you. Tell, I want to hear, what do you think? Because you're a
Well,
math.
I think absolutely, and it's interesting because me wanting to be a performer, I've always wanted to be a singer, but and I studied with many singing teachers and whatever, but it was coming from an ego place because I wanted to be a singer so I could be famous and I could could really
Cool.
connect.
Be
But
cool.
yeah, to be cool. But then when the spirituality really opened up, and particularly when I found the ability to use my voice for healing, and it wasn't ego driven, something new opened up. And now that I'm moving back into my performing, the singing voice is so much more there, except when it's coming from that ego place, I can feel it tightening up. But if we think about the ancient cultures, almost all of them expressed their spirituality through song and dance. So it was movement, active with the body and activating the throat. And in this culture, we've lost that because it's all about being perfect or being good or doing it right. And the more you can let go of that and just let yourself go. When I work with people individually, it's really fun to invite them to let go, whether it's with doing some toning or whether it's just sharing what's really going on with them. And I think when you talked at the beginning about something about being able to create the space, I think that's a big part of what I've learned to do is create that space of non-judgment for people, just really that place of acceptance.
One avenue, and it's what you're talking about, really, is just to think of it as service. Okay, I'm not doing a cool performance. I'm actually healing people or creating the space for them to heal or even healing the planet. I'm actually working, it's kind of like the Native American drummers around the master drum, right? There is no thought of like a cool performance. Zero, zero. It's like totally service to mankind.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because my first guru is what I call her, is Diana Ross, who I went to see, who I went to see in Las Vegas rather than going to my graduation ceremony because my friend was going up, and you could feel her when she's on stage that it's the joy of doing it and she recognizes what she's giving to the audience. There's this give and take thing, and she tuned into me right away, gave me her scarf, sang a specific song to me and changed the lyrics for it because she saw in me what I was seeing in her was the joy of allowing her voice to be the connecting thing that brought people together. And even though she's, certainly got the ego stuff with all the costumes and everything, if you really tune into what her message is, it's always been about connection and love. And that's why she's still out there, singing. We saw her last month. And she was wonderful. She had everyone holding hands, singing Reach Out and Touch. I mean, it was the same thing, but it's that, absolutely, it's that service. And that's also where our creativity comes from. Creative people are creative because they want to put something out there that will bring joy or help heal or bring movement to the world.
Cool. Well, this has just been a pleasure.
Yeah,
Really, really
definitely.
fun. And the sound you do is just so effective. I mean, it was really effective for me, the whole thing.
Good.
Uh, Anything else you want to share before we end?
I think that's it. It was just a delight to be with you as always, and I'm excited about about this project that I'm now a part of because it spreads this divine energy into the world. So it is such a gift. So I so appreciate you.
Thank you as well. I mean, for all the work and I mean, it's been quite a while since I've seen you, and your energy
Yeah.
is just so sweet. It's just you're really tuned in. It's so cool.
Well, likewise for sure.
Thank you so much.
Blessings.